is one of his interests. There's so much to cover. Let me stop talking and let you see and hear from Dr. Begley.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. So I want to thank everyone for coming. I just a little bit about my bio. So I'm a proud graduate of the University of Albany, twice. So I graduated in 1993, and actually my first advisor in biology was Ben Zaro. So he set me straight and set me on my path. So you can thank or blame him at some point. He was right. He was right. And then, yeah, Dippykill, great place. I've had so many good memories there. I'm so hopeful that it will open again soon. So, so this can be, a Q&A. You guys feel free to interrupt me. Pleasure to be here and tell you a little bit about what we're doing in the RNA Institute. I know some of you have heard about it before, Elga notably, and others, the area may be a little bit new to you. So just to get a feel for the audience, I know we have 3 scientists in the room. Any more? 4. Okay, so so usually with the diverse audience that we have, we will sort of just open it up a little bit and tell you a little bit about RNA. I'm always looking for my glasses these days. So okay, so I mean, I think everyone's heard of RNA at this point, and before COVID hit, we usually had to do a lot of background on what is RNA, but with the advent of these mRNA vaccines that I'm guessing many of us in this room have taken, RNA became somewhat of a commonplace, technical term for many people across the U.S. Okay. Um, RNA is a nucleic acid. It is, part of what we call the central dogma of molecular biology, which really describes how information is stored and accessed inside cells. Okay, so RNA is a central position here, but in science terms, DNA is information storage, RNA is information access. And then, protein is what's made from RNA. And it's a central molecule that, scientists have been studying for I'm going to date myself. Yeah, easily over 75 years. Okay. It's small. It has dimensions on the nanoscale size. And it turns out that our cells and our tissues, we make a lot of RNA. Okay. And lots of different types. I have a movie that I can show, but I'm not going to do it because it's going to mess up the recording. I have no doubt. But it sort of describes, how DNA is this blueprint for cells and for life, and how RNA can access this blueprint. So access of information to essentially make proteins in the cells and tissues. Okay. Now, let's see. There we go. So it turns out there's many different types of RNA. And what we heard about with the RNA vaccines were mRNA, messenger RNA. But it turns out on here, I have 10 different types of RNAs or RNA related areas uh, that are present in cells. And they all do different things, but you can think about majority of them as really being parts of information access, and how to translate information into specific parts of a cell. In addition, we can think about different technologies that are related to RNA, most notably gene editing technologies, because now we have the ability to actually change DNA using RNA-based guides and other systems. So there's lots of different parts of our types of RNA. And from a sort of a therapeutics perspective, there's lots of different potential RNAs that can be exploited therapeutically. Okay.
You showed that earlier slide showing DNA is from high school geology, it's a double helix.
Yeah.
But you showed RNA as being a single.
Yeah.
Helix. Is that
correct? So RNA can be a single strand, and that's typically how we think about mRNA. But there's there's double-stranded features of many RNAs. Most notably, like tRNAs here. There's double-stranded parts, but it's a different structure. It's less repeating than what you'd see with DNA.
Okay.
And I can joke around here, and maybe the scientists will maybe laugh. I don't know. Maybe not. My wife's a scientist, and she doesn't really laugh at my jokes much. But I like to say DNA is really just a modified form of RNA. It's a cousin of RNA, and chemically, it's just a little bit different. Okay. So I actually have a favorite RNA molecule, tRNA. My lab studies tRNA, and we do a lot with tRNA biology, which are actually coming on as potential therapeutics for some really orphan-based diseases that have what we call as mutations that put in stop codons. So there's a company in Boston that's doing that, all tRNA. So it turns out, the RNA has been studied since the 1956. Single-stranded RNA was shown to be able to hybridize to form a double-stranded molecule. So RNA can be double-stranded if it's complementary. But lots of basic discoveries of RNA have happened over the years. One of them being in 1993, the discovery of microRNA, which are really small pieces of RNA that have regulatory potential. And Nobel Prize for microRNA was awarded in 2024 to Victor Ambros and Gary Ruvkin. And Victor Ambros was on campus this last year to give a talk. And I'll say, that RNA-based discoveries, many Nobel Prizes have been awarded for it. Okay. In addition, there's lots of different approved RNA-based therapeutics that have come out in the last 20 years. And this is just some of the companies and company space that they occupy. Okay. So one of the reasons to study RNA is that they have lots of application in RNA therapeutics, diagnostics, in addition to sort of the basic research aspects. But the market for RNA therapeutics is currently at about $8 billion in the US for 2025, and it's projected to get to almost $20 billion by 2034. So this is an expanding market. I say in theory, with changing federal initiatives and news clips, we hope that stays the same. But there's some really neat RNA-based therapeutics that are in development, most notably for cancer treatment. There's some RNA-based vaccines that Moderna is developing. They're not calling them vaccines, though. I'm not sure why. They're cancer adjuvant therapies. So, but they look pretty promising. Okay, so one of the reasons we have an RNA Institute is the Capital Region really has this long history of excellence in RNA and nucleic acid-based research, with that other nucleic acid being DNA. And this comes from the University of Albany in departments of biological sciences, the chemistry department, Department of Biomedical Sciences, and the School of Public Health, which is now the College of Integrated Health Sciences, but also from the Wadsworth Center, which is home to the New York State Department of Health. And, there's been some really amazing RNA-based research that's been going on here in the Albany region from the 70s. Some very famous RNA-based scientists who have gotten Nobel Prizes or in the National Academy. And there's actually a really large group of excellent researchers in the area that have studied different aspects of RNA. Okay. And say, what is the RNA Institute? And really, it's a physical location in the Life Science Research Building. It's on the second floor. It's a virtual location that brings together researchers from the area and afar to the RNA Institute via seminars, trainings, research collaborations. Really it's located at what I say is really one of the most beautiful buildings on campus. It's the Life Science Research Building, which has this great place to hang out in good weather. And it's also, a destination for training. Okay. And we've really made an emphasis on training the next generation of scientists at many levels. So, from the scientific perspective, we're really looking to drive cutting edge research in RNA biology, chemistry, and technology development. and really foster breakthroughs in science that bring RNA biology to diagnostics and to therapeutics. Okay. And, that's a long process. So just to, I'll ask the group a question. How long does it take to bring an idea of a therapeutic to market? Anyone want to guess?
20 years.
So that's a good ballpark area, 10 to 20 years, okay, depending on the type of therapeutic. So, if you looked at some of the mRNA vaccines, they really took probably about 30 years to come to market. So the idea of doing a therapeutic takes a long time, but and it also takes a lot of money. But doing the basic research to support that is something that we can do right now with the idea that, we're going to develop technologies and approaches that will improve different aspects of human health. Okay. And we're bringing together the Department of Chemistry, Biological Sciences, Biomedical Sciences, and also the Bio-Nanoscience Group, which is located in the engineering school. And there's a large number of researchers that work on RNA. Here we have this goal of training this next generation of RNA science and technologists. And, really with the idea is that we can use RNA-based training to get our mentees really good STEM jobs. And there's a lot of companies and academic institutions throughout the world that value this training because it's RNA is sort of a complicated molecule to work with, and there's some specialized skills. And then also we're partnering with industry to generate some RNA-based solutions to different problems. So we have investigators that are doing contract research for a number of different RNA or RNA-related companies, but also we're partnering with these companies so that we can get our students internships. Okay, and we train a lot of graduate students, and at this point, I'd say only about 25% of them want to go into the alternative career path, academia. They all want to go into industry, and the way to get industry jobs and high tech jobs is internships. It's proven formula. Regeneron does it quite well. It's basically 3 to 6 months of a test run, okay, to see if they want you. So we're partnered with some of these companies to do that. Now, one of the other things that we really like to think about what we've been doing is really building a science community. I got into science because I love solving puzzles, but it's a lot of fun too. And I think many of us do that. So what we try to do is take a sort of a community approach to say, well, we're going to do cutting edge science and technology, but there's no reason we shouldn't have fun with it. We should have a lot of different events, bring people together. And the RNA Institute has done that in a lot of different settings. In our training settings, we've done young investigator meetings for a disease called myotonic dystrophy. This picture here, sorry. Okay. How do I have that set up? Laser pen. Yeah. So this picture here, this is one of our Finger Lake meetings that we do with the University of Rochester. So we had about 75 UAlbany researchers out there talking about science, networking, communicating. We've been running for the past 3 years a retreat. This last one was up in Shroon Lake. This happens in the summer. The trainees and actually the faculty love to go up there. Dean Alteriba loves Shroon Lake, so we always invite her too. And we're talking about science, sharing we'll call the trials and tribulations of science, but also doing a lot of career development. We do workshops and things like that. So this past one, we brought in 4 esteemed scientists that were our graduates from Merck, Baylor Medical College, NIH, and ECS, which was a consulting firm. So we do a lot. We've also every August 1st we do RNA Day. It's AUG1 for the science nerds. You guys will get that, but but also one of our faculty members runs a bake-off, so it's science-based baking competition. Here we're bringing the community in. It's usually our end of summer program, so we'll have parents, legislatures. We've had the chancellor come. We're developing ways to interact with the community. We've loved for the Emeritus faculty to come over. It's a fun event. Um, uh, we've also, we do fundraising too. Okay. So, all that jazz is a fundraiser for myotonic dystrophy that's, run at, oh, I forgot the name of the place. It's in Scotia, but, real fun event. And it brings in an alternate set of funds to do training and research. Okay. So we've really emphasized building a community and getting people involved. And, this is another picture of who is in part of the RNA Institute, and there's many people that make up the RNA Institute. This is a picture from one of our old retreats. This is at Fort William Henry in Lake George. Very well attended with our members and really the students of our members. Really the students are part of the RNA Institute. I tell you, we're bringing together 4 departments from 3 different colleges here at the university. We also have members that are part of other organizations, Albany Med, Binghamton, Neural Stem Cell Institute. So we're very diverse in terms of who we interact with. And the reality is pretty much anyone doing science is in molecular biology and cell biology is working with RNA in some form. Okay, it's just it's almost like a universal molecule for study. So we have a lot of people that affiliate with us because we're doing lots of fun things. We have training programs, and we're building a community. As part of our partner organizations, we're aligned with the Myotonic Dystrophy Center, and I'll get a little bit of that. We have other disease-associated research organizations that we align with as we're evolving. Okay, so just a little bit about the organization chart. So I show this just to show you how complicated it actually is. But I just want to highlight a couple things. So Andy Bergelin is the director of the RNA Institute. He's an amazing guy, lots of fun, and he's a great leader. We recruited him from the University of Florida back in 2018, and he's done a wonderful job with the RNA Institute. For anyone who did any of the COVID testing back in the day, Andy ran the COVID testing lab, and he really did an amazing job. We have many faculty associated with the RNA Institute, but importantly, we have their students. So, with just faculty and students associated with the RNA Institute, you can get a couple hundred people an event, and we do that quite often. We do benefit some amazing support from the university. This includes staff support at the director of research level with John Cleary, training with Arun Chandrasekaran, assistant director Tammy Reed. We have a communication specialist, Sangeetha Selvin. She reminds me I have to take a picture with everybody because she does a great job with sort of highlighting what we're doing. And we have program coordinator Ryan Leacock and a project support specialist. So we actually have a really good infrastructure to get things done. Okay, and now we're going to thank a big shout out to Elga because she's the brainchild behind this, and it's really a pleasure to have you here. And Elga is one of our champions, and we consider her part of the RNA Institute too. Ben's, I guess, a retired member of the RNA Institute too. So we're happy to have him here also. So we invite all you guys to come and check us out with one of the events. And I brought some swags that I'll hand out later.
What's the difference between associated faculty and affiliated?
Yeah, the economic model is different for each of the members, and it really has something to do with how much commitment they have back to the RNA Institute in terms of indirect cost recovery support.
One is outside SUNY and inside.
Some of them, some of the affiliated faculty are outside SUNY too, and where it's impossible to have that economic model. The other thing to highlight is sorry about that. Yeah, so we have actually 2 the centers under the umbrella of the RNA Institute, the CERT, which is the Center of Excellence in RNA Research and Therapeutics, and also the New York Myotonic Dystrophy Center. CERT is a workforce development center of excellence for New York State, and the Myotonic Dystrophy Center is a disease-focused center on a form of really muscular dystrophy that we have some expertise in the center. I will say both of these we're closely aligned with the University of Rochester Center for RNA Biology and the Medical Center. And we have a nice, I'll say a nice collaboration, from east to west on I-90, I'll say. Okay, so yeah, just a little bit on the CERT. So the CERT is one of the newest parts of the RNA Institute. It's this Center of Excellence. This is funded by New York State. First year of funding was in 2025. And it was really based on the idea that we can use RNA as a tool to train STEM workers, okay? And really generate biomedical solutions to some devastating genetic diseases. And here, what we're doing is we're partnered with companies like Regeneron and Curia and some small biotechs to develop their workforce and also to really stimulate small biotech startups. Okay. Now, this is in its infancy, and we're trying to grow it with. I'll say advocacy, but it's basically lobbying also. We go down and talk to the assembly members, the Senate, and every once in a while the governor, and we always ask for more money. So, but one of the things that this actually does is it does sponsor some internships for our students in industry. One of the interesting things is, and some of the caveats is that a lot of the times when our students go and do internships in industry, they don't have health coverage. So we pick up health coverage for them. We try and do whatever we can to make it workable. And then, yeah, the New York Myotonic Dystrophy Center. This is this is focused on an adult onset muscular dystrophy, really, and it's myotonic dystrophy, and I have a slide that I'll use to explain it a little bit further. But Andy Begley is one of the world's experts in studying myotonic dystrophy, and we've recruited a number of scientists in this area. And it's a repeat expansion disease that you'll read about and see more and more as we learn more about this and those classes of diseases. And really, it provides sort of a training and research environment to grow this next generation of researcher working on these diseases and to help provide solutions for a disease which currently doesn't have a lot of treatment options. Okay. And here we're doing training, fundraising, education. And again, this is aligned with the University of Rochester Medical School, Medical Center, which has an active an expert group working with myotonic dystrophy patients from across the country. Now, just a little bit on the origin story for the RNA Institute, because it started many years ago. And here are three of the leaders that I will highlight. Okay, so we have Al Millis from the Department of Biological Sciences, Elga Wolfer, who was, we'll say, the founding dean, and then Paul Agras, who was recruited to come and be the founding director. And this is really the basic idea of how do you get an institute up and running? How do you plan it and give it a blueprint to allow it to grow successfully? And then what's the focus area? And this is where Paul came in on the focus area. So here's the origin idea to construction, and this is a paper. This is a picture from 2010, and you see Elga there with Paul Tonko, the provost, the president at the time. Is that Paul? Yeah, Paul Tonko, right? Yeah, the provost, the president, the chancellor, and that's Paul Agras there, and that's the empty shell space that used to be in the Life Science Research Building. And the idea was to build this space out to have cutting-edge facilities for RNA-based research. And RNA is a complicated molecule to study, and you need some specialized facilities, tools. It likes to be degraded a lot, so you really need a specialized focus. Now, this is Paul's voice. Sorry.
It is a national,
and I'll let him talk a little bit.
For innovative drug discovery and technology development. The physical resources of the Institute are located in a modern research building Completion of the RNA Institute's specially designed space enables RNA-based drug discovery and technology development that will bring new diagnosis methods and treatment to difficult human health problems.
So I'll leave it on there. And the original focus was on RNA-based drug discovery, technology development, and commercialization. It already tells you there's a really long process for the therapeutic and drug discovery part. Similarly, commercialization takes a long time. But that was the idea that put the RNA Institute on the map, and it grew with faculty. And there was I love seeing these pictures because I play tennis with Josh Shang right now, and this is like 15 years ago. He's still really in much better shape than I am. But it's great to see these 15-year-old pictures. But we recruited some really amazing young faculty in biology and chemistry and at the RNA Institute. And for the most part, they're all there today, and they've bloomed into these professors that are world class, okay, from both the research, training, and they're really good colleagues. So we recruited really good people. And I say we, it wasn't me at all. It was others, okay? But at the start, the other thing that we did was put on an RNA symposium in 2013. That was the first one. And basically, we've had an annual RNA symposium every year since then. Okay. And, okay. Yeah. So in 2017, there were some transitions. Paul Agris, stepped down as leadership. Marlene Belford came in as interim. I came in as a second interim. And I can say the best thing I've ever done was actually recruit Andy. So that's my claim to fame. Really the Institute evolved, and it evolved into really a focus on what we call repeat expansion diseases, human health research and training. Okay. So, we've made a concerted effort to get into these repeat expansion diseases, which include myotonic dystrophy, Huntington's disease, Fragile X, ALS, a specific type, and spinocerebellar ataxias, which are SCAs, just because, they're devastating diseases and they're understudied, okay? And we've been able to recruit some really amazing investigators in these areas. Similarly, what we've done is we've also refocused on training the next generation of RNA scientists here at many levels, okay? So I would say today, the research is that we're doing is for the public good, okay? And we have some our members are publishing in lots of amazing journals, from PNAS and nature-based journals to nucleic acid research and among others. So we have a really active scientific group that's making contributions to understanding the biology and chemistry of RNA, making resources and reagents that are really unique. And developing tools and technologies to study it. We're also, studying different ways to alleviate the symptoms from diseases like myotonic dystrophy. Small molecule screens to identify potential areas to explore, siRNA or RNA-based approaches to regulate gene expression. Over the past 2 years, we've been able to bring in 25 million in new RNA science grants. Okay. A majority of this does come from the NIH, and we do count on the federal government to fund cutting edge research. It was the last year has been a ride. I think I told a couple of people, but it looks like things are back on track. So we're starting to see we're about 6 months behind in sort of grant funding, but things have started to progress. And in addition to NIH funds, we get money from New York State government, industry partners. Department of Defense actually is a very good grant funder also, and a little bit from National Science Foundation. But National Science Foundation seems to be a bit behind compared to the others. I think they got a deeper cut, in all honesty. Okay, some new grants that have been awarded. We got a training grant from the National Institute of General Medical Sciences for PhD students. We got a new equipment grant, and this is Ken Halverson. It's a Lumix technology. Really neat. It's to pull apart molecules like RNA and to study them at the molecular level and understand sort of the forces that keep them together. And then also there's this Wellstone Muscular Dystrophy Research Specialized Center grant that UAlbany RNA Institute partnered with Virginia Commonwealth University to get. This is a big one. And this is more, I'll say, a more translational grant, applied human health grant. And it's really to study myotonic dystrophy, this repeat expansion disease. Now, for those of you who don't know about myotonic dystrophy, it's a disease that's characterized by muscle weakness, wasting, myotonia, pain, among other things. For those of you who don't know what myotonia is, if you close your hand and you open it like that, myotonic dystrophy patients have a really hard time opening up their hands again. There's a host of other symptoms, and it's really in many ways sort of a wasting disease. Okay. The 1 in 2,100 people in New York have this autosomal dominant gene for DM1, and the disease is typified by this process called anticipation, where you'll have the grandmother is a carrier, the mother here develops disease late in life, but her children develop it very early. It's this expansion of DNA that happens whenever cells divide. And because the DNA is expanded at a specific point, the RNA that's made is toxic. It gets more poisonous over time because the repeat builds. Okay. And, there really aren't many solutions for myotonic dystrophy because of the way the disease is set up. But there's been 2 Wellstone grants for muscular dystrophy and myotonic dystrophy were awarded to study this, neuromuscular diseases. And the Albany VCU-based one is headed by Andy Berglund. And it's really a grant to set the stage for clinical studies and therapeutics for myotonic dystrophy, with a focus on myotonic dystrophy in children. Okay, and these are the ones that get most affected early in life. Okay, so the disease is setting up biomarker-based studies for children. How can we use RNA-based markers from children's blood to better study disease and better treat it? Identifying genetic components that affect outcomes of some of the therapeutics, because it's such a wildly different disease in so many people, because the repeat lengths can change, in different cells. And they're also screening chemicals to develop small molecules to modify disease phenotypes. Okay, so this is a big award to set the stage for the future of some potential medicines and approaches to treat the clinical symptoms of myotonic dystrophy. So these are just some of the grants that have been awarded. We have a lot of also grants that study the molecular dynamics of RNA, RNA-based gene expression, RNA-based biomarkers for environmental diseases, and environmental exposures. We bring together the groups at the RNA Institute. We bring them together every year for this annual Upstate RNA Symposium. And I can say in the old days, we used to be the annual RNA Symposium, but now we're competing with New York City. Okay, so we got to call it Upstate. So this is just the one we had in February. There's 230 people from New York and abroad. It was international because we did have one speaker from Spain, we like to say. He was a lot of fun. And he's actually studying how specific tRNA genes mutate with age to cause age-related symptoms. And he's going to do a sabbatical at the RNA Institute with us starting in the summer. I will say he is my friend from Barcelona, and I am hoping to get a trip in return. So, we've had some great support from companies and the university on these meetings, and it's usually a lot of fun. Now, just what I want to do is highlight some of the RNA Institute training programs to end with, because we've made this a major focus of what we're trying to do in the RNA Institute is train the next generation of leaders in RNA science and technology. And we have 5 training program areas that we've expanded to over the years. Okay. Now, this may look like a weird order because I'm showing you RNA Fellows PhD training program and ending with high school bioinformatics summer camp, and it probably should be the other way if you were following progression. But this is more chronological. When we first started, the RNA Fellows PhD training program was initiated by Marlene Belfort, I worked with her on it I'll say the mid days of the RNA Institute, 2017, 2018, and we got an NIH training grant on it. 3 years ago, we got an NSF grant to fund undergraduate research for the summer for students from around the country. We have an undergraduate summer bioinformatics program, which is virtual. This is twice, so sorry about that. This should be undergraduate summer program. So this is on-site summer research, and then we also have a high school bioinformatics camp that we're running. Okay. Just a little bit on the PhD training program. This brings together about 39 training faculty from across the capital region, from the University of Albany. And we have a lot of different training goals, but the ones I'll highlight to this group are really career development for calling them RNA Fellows. In addition to doing science, can they become better communicators? Can they get information on industry and entrepreneurship? We do a lot of science programming, career programming, and we also do some fun events too. The Bake Off, the RNA Cafe, which is like basically a lunchtime series that brings in speakers from outside of academia to talk about scientific careers. So what we're really proud of from this program is we've changed 65 RNA Fellows. The RNA Fellows really are the cream. They're amazing students. Okay. We recruit them into the program after they've been admitted to a PhD program here at the University of Albany, usually as they go from their second to third year. Okay. Our students are landing amazing jobs in academia and also in industry and in government jobs. Highlight NASA. We had one of our RNA Fellows. Actually, he's a rocket scientist for NASA, which, we always like to joke around with him about it. But especially now with what's going on with, going to the moon. So our PhD level graduates are getting really good jobs, which we're proud of. The NSF funded in-person undergraduate summer research program has been going on for 3 years. Focused on undergraduates with limited research experience, brings them onto campus, it houses them, it feeds them, it provides in-lab opportunities with a mentor, and also a lot of career development opportunities. So they're here usually from June to beginning of August. We've had 3 cohorts so far. The undergraduate summer bioinformatics program, is online and virtual. And in many ways, this started during the COVID years because we have these big RNA-based data sets. I mean, we really do work with big data with millions of data points. We get the students started on how do they analyze that data? And these are data sets from myotonic dystrophy patients. So they get an introduction to human disease, how studying RNA can better inform on the disease. And then they do independent projects with big data for other faculty members. They get a badge, a small stipend, and a certificate. And with this, we're bringing in about 60 students each year from around the country. Many of them are from New York, but here's the maps of applicants. Okay. We're also partnered with a STEM for Development to get international students. And we usually get about anywhere from 6 to 10 international students as part of this. So it's a recruiting a tool that we also use to bring students to the Albany. And then this last summer, 2025, we started the high school bioinformatics summer camp. And we were actually getting a lot of high school students contacting us to do the bioinformatics program for undergraduates. And, so we set up a high school version, and, they get lectures and remote training sessions. They get to analyze big data, similar to the undergraduate program. They get some career development training, and they get really a badge and a certificate to signify completion. And it sets them on a path for actually being having some technical skills to do research at an undergraduate level. Okay, so again, we're using that also as a recruiting program to bring high school students here to UAlbany. Many of them are coming from New York State, but we're also getting applicants from Texas and California and Virginia. Okay, so just a little bit about these programs. I mean, these programs cater to many students, but they're competitive and selective. For the undergraduate summer bioinformatics program, internationally, we get over 2,000 applicants for 10 spots. Okay, so the selectivity is 0.5%. We get some amazing students that we're trying to convert then into graduate students. Okay, we have over 800 applicants from the U.S. Many of them are from New York, but they're also coming from Texas and California, and we're trying to convert those into graduate students. The high school bioinformatics summer camp. The first year we had about 126 applications, and we're trying to convert those into undergraduate students. And the RNA Fellows Program, it's really competitive. We've funded students from the University of Texas who went to undergraduate at the University of Texas Austin, to University of Arizona, RPI, SUNY Geneseo, UAlbany students, and the NIH-funded training program. You're finding these at the Ivy Leagues, the MITs, the Johns Hopkins. So we think it's a real feather in the hat for the RNA Institute in UAlbany, and we're really proud of all of these programs. And it's really the students that make the RNA Institute what it is, and the other people. Now, just for what's going on in the future, the governor announced a $50 million expansion of the physical space for the RNA Institute in the fall, which we were pleasantly surprised to see. This is a great way we're going to use to renovate the existing space and create new laboratory space, with the idea is that we can study a host of different diseases in this space, have some of it dedicated for what calls a GMP facility. This is good manufacturing practices for RNA-based reagents, and also tie in with the AI initiative. I mean, the big data is really akin to being studied by AI, and we're exploring how to do that best. Now, there's going to be a lot of educational and training space in there also, and the reality is this is just in the beginning. It's got a 2030 completion date, and I'll say that's a loose completion date. It's a wild process. I think some of you guys know how it works, but it's fun, and it's nice to be able to expand. Just for those of you who want to get a better feel for what it's going to be looking like, so. Here's the main campus map, and I guess we're over here somewhere off the map. So the biology building is here, the life science building is here, and there's the corridor near State Quad that connects these two buildings, and that's what's going to be expanded. Right now, if anyone's been in there, it's just a hallway, but there's a beautiful courtyard out of it. So you're going to see a nice, really beautiful courtyard space, which goes with the fountain theme. And we'll have laboratory and teaching space here, so it's going to be 2 floors. So that's the general plan, but it is a work in progress, and I'm sure it'll evolve a little bit. So that's basically the space. Just a couple things that I can throw out here and quotes to think about. So with regards to expanding space, I love this quote, if you build it, they will come. I think everyone knows the movie. The reality is the RNA Institute was built, in 2010, and they came. So, and we believe expanded space will be able to grow the Institute. In the time since the RNA Institute was formed in 2010, we're seeing RNA Institute like places popping up at schools like Brown, Harvard. Okay, so we were ahead of the times here by a lot. Okay, and got to thank leaders like Elga for making it happen. One thing I will say is with regards to the RNA Institute and science in general, science technology is a team sport at this point. We do a lot of, team-based activities. We come together, we write big grants. And talking to the recruiters from Regeneron, one of the number one questions they ask students is, what sport did you play? Or what sport do you play? Which may seem biased against scientists, but but they want to know, can you work together? Can you be part of a team? And we see that with these bigger grants and science these days. So science is a team sport. I think I've tried to stress the people in the RNA Institute are strengths, and the students, the faculty, the staff, the administrators, sponsored funds, donors, champions, and community and partners. It takes a village, and we have a really great community of people that we interact with, and we're always happy to interact with more of you. So we hope you check us out. The other thing I'll put out there is that we had our 15-year anniversary for the RNA Institute this year. I'm going to guess it's really more like a 19-year anniversary because there was a lot of pre-stages. But initiatives take commitment and resources and time to bloom. Okay, and I think that's a message that I love that. You guys can probably all appreciate it, but I tell a lot of the young scientists and younger faculty, it's going to take time, but you need a sustained commitment. And we'll say we hope it blooms. I put this spring-like picture in there for everybody, but it did snow today. So, but yeah, I'll thank you all for listening, and happy to take questions or comments. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. This was great. I really enjoyed hearing about everything that you've accomplished. I had never heard of a repeated expansion disease, and I certainly didn't realize that the ones that you listed were part of that category. Is there something that takes place in common in the individuals that originate the repeated expansion?
So repeat expansion disease, are mechanistically, there's a mechanistic thing in common, and it's really when sort of DNA replicates, if there's areas that have a lot of the same sequence, replication can get sloppy. Okay, and it's really a DNA repair defect. So it's called mismatch repair, but I'm not going to get too into the nitty-gritty of it, but replication goes away and it expands. And it turns out once you expand once, it's a lot easier to expand the next time. So it's like a ball that picks up steam as it rolls down the hill. And the other thing that, and I say this just from the perspective of, when we look for disease like markers and in DNA, you only see what you look for. And it turns out repeat expansions are really hard to look for because it's the same sequence that repeats and repeats and repeats. So I tend to think that we're going to learn more and more, we're going to hear more and more about repeat expansion diseases as the technology gets better to study them. Because if you look at a lot of the phenotypes and for these repeat expansion disease, a lot of it is muscle wasting, cognitive decline, things that sometimes remind of aging. So I think in the future we'll hear more and more about them.
Thank
you. Yep.
So it sounds like you're using RNA for the actual editing itself versus like guide RNA to deliver. So I'm just curious, in some of the RNA research that you're doing, are you working with other laboratories, or are you building a capability on things like polymers?
Yes, so that's a great question. So there's so many different things you can do with RNA. So the chemistry department here at UAlbany is great at synthesizing different types of RNA. They're called RNA modifications, and these RNA modifications are actually found in some therapeutics like the mRNA vaccine. So they can make different forms of RNA that evade immune detection and stabilize. From a collaboration perspective, yeah, I mean, from my experience, I mean, I collaborate with a group at MIT, and we're developing analytical solutions. Yeah. I mean, I would love to collaborate with Dr. Langer, but Marlene actually knows Dr. Langer quite well. So, there's lots of collaborations that are going on. We do have, from a gene editing perspective, we do have a group headed by Max Roizen and chemistry that's using light to turn on editing equipment, and it's got a lot of potential. And
two unrelated questions, but you mentioned your summer undergrad program. Do you have like a BS program as well?
So we don't. I mean, we're not an official academic group, and so so like my appointment is with biology or biological sciences. That's my academic appointment, and my students ultimately get degrees in biological sciences or a variation. For the summer programs, you don't have to be an academic entity because you can do badging and certificates. I think we're pretty happy being aligned with each of the departments, and we have a pretty good relationship with all of them. So I don't, we haven't really thought too much about becoming an academic entity.
I guess my other question, you mentioned collaborating with University of Rochester and their medical center.
Mm-hmm.
You also collaborate like with Albany Med or any Albany area?
Yeah, so we do have there's some collaborations with Albany Medical Center. Interesting story is that Andy Berglund, who's our expert in myotonic dystrophy, started his career at the University of Oregon. His first undergraduate student in the lab, the family member had myotonic dystrophy, and he never studied it before, and so he started working on it. This first undergrad in his lab is now a doc at Albany Medical Center, and we have ties in there. So, we also have collaborations with Department of Health scientists and others. I think from my group, we just started a collaboration and got a grant to work with the University of Arizona to access and work with them on their firefighter cancer cohort studies. So, we're willing to collaborate with lots and lots of groups. I think, collaboration really is the key for us to be successful.
Can you say something about the relationship between myotonic dystrophy and what people would generally refer to as muscular dystrophy, which I'm not sure that there's actually one such thing, but
yes. So myotonic dystrophy is a type of muscular dystrophy, I think there's other types with different origin of disease etiologies. Okay. I think myotonic dystrophy is the most common form of adult onset muscular dystrophy, though. But there's lots of different forms, and I sort of put it to sort of we have cancer. There's lots of different types of cancers, and a lot has to do with disease etiology, onset, and genetics. Oh, Ben.
Well, we could
Thanks.
push your origin story back a little bit further. We can push it back as far as Karen Hitchcock. Because when she built the life science building, she came to biology and said, you need a theme for your hires. So Al Millis drafted me and Lee New to chair the first life science faculty recruitment. And we recruited 3 of the 4 were RNA scientists. We thought we already had Gravitas and David Shute and Marlene Belfort in Albany. We could use them to recruit faculty. Lee New was getting interested in aptamers. I was moving into RNA binding proteins. And so we hired a bunch of RNA scientists as part of that. And then when Elga became the dean, she said, you have enough here to make an institute. And that's what turned it from, you know, a hire to an institute. So the idea really goes back to like 2000.
Oh, wow.
You know, when the building opened up was 2003.
That's such a, and who were the three faculty? Was it
It was Washi, who's still here.
Yeah.
Minho Lee and Carla Thymer, who left.
Okay.
But then in the subsequent, when we had Pan Lee and Mindy Larson and some, you know, and
Yeah.
so that became sort of a weight to recruit more RNA scientists here.
That's great.
That's absolutely true. I became dean in 2007, and 3 faculty members came to me. This was Emeritus,
John Welch.
and John Welsh was the other, and were you the third one? Because I cannot remember who the third one was. I remember the two chairs.
You guys drafted me to give some talks to legislators to pitch the idea to get money.
And so, as I have always said, I mean, I'm a psychologist by training, so of course the RNA Institute was not my idea. But they came and they told me precisely the story that we already had several of the junior faculty. And I thought, I mean, I started reading about it and I thought this was a fantastic idea. My skill was to get the money. And we had George Philip as the president. But what you need to take into account that, so it started 2007, 2008. This was when the country went into a horrible situation. And the chief of staff, the chief of staff of President Philip, I mean, he has long retired now. When he sees me, he still hugs me because he said he cannot believe how I was able, under these circumstances, to get money out of George Philip. But I could be very persuasive. And he believed me. And so with that, we started. And then, of course, we were able to hire Paul Agres. And then the wonderful thing happened that we applied for an ERA grant. And we were able to get 5.4 million from the government. Then we added to the 4 million that we had. And with that, we were able to build the physical. But I mean, this was a fantastic idea that was given to me. And I was just able to sell it. And so,
We decided in the biology department that RNA was an understudied area of biology that was destined to bloom.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we could hire some people.
Well, you know what? I mean, we hired really, really good people because I mean, after all, I remember how you and we were sitting here at Uncommon Ground and negotiating that he would come back. You know? At that time, when I was in, the situation was different. I had my budget. I could allocate money how I chose to. I think this is no longer the case. No, I mean, now the deans are being told. And for that reason, I was able to reshift money within the College of Arts and Sciences and actually put money behind it. You know? And otherwise, you cannot build something. But
You guys should have bought lotto tickets too. You did well. So one of the great things about the RNA Institute is we actually have all this all our own hats and swag. So I brought a whole bunch. If you guys want hats for
Mr. Lard.
it's one size fits all for yourself, for family members. We give them to students. I had to make the call that winter hats were going to be more in demand than baseball hats. Right. So feel free to take a hat if you'd like them or a couple. But really a pleasure talking with all of you. If you ever want to come over and visit, let us know. And I will say the RNA Day on August 1 is usually it's a lot of fun. So there'll be high school students, undergrads, graduate students. The chancellor came last year, and there's usually good science and food. So, but thank you. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. This was fun.
We've got a niece that may be interested.
Great, great, yes.
She's a sophomore, she's a freshman, no, she's a junior now.
Yeah, okay, good.
Maybe, but on hooks.
Juniors, yeah, juniors, seniors, they're good. So hopefully they want us to go to U Albany.
Sorry, she's here already.
Excellent. Alrighty, so should I just,
Yes.